Good evening. I hope I find you well on this wet and windy day. Yeah, wet and windy. And of course, I hung out my clothes this morning and I had no sooner than them on the line up when it started raining. But I said, well, they're getting a double wash. I think they've got a triple wash because it's, it's sort of raining. It didn't kind of clear up. Sometimes it clears up, but suppose to say that they've got a good soak on. I might just leave them out tonight, so perhaps it'll dry during the night. You never know. So I'm going to start off now with my hymns, not my usual first one. I'm going to do another one, and I hope I find you well. Uh, every time I go into my thing, Facebook comes up, and I said I don't want it next or near. I didn't go looking for it, but it anyway. So who's to say we start off with the hymns? What? Yeah. Oh Lord, my God. When I in awesome wonder consider all the works thy hands had made, I see the stars. Well, don't see them now with the rain and the clouds is hiding it. I hear the mighty thunder, thy power throughout the universe displayed. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. When Christ shall come with shouts of acclamation and take me home, what joy shall fill my heart? Then shall I bow in humble adoration and there proclaim, my God, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Then sings my soul, my Saviour God, to thee. How great thou art, how great thou art. Isn't that lovely? I like that hymn. And now here's one for our Blessed Mother. As I kneel before you, as I bow my head in prayer, take this day, make it yours, and fill me with your love. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum benedicta tu. All I have I give you. Every dream and wish are yours. Mother of Christ, Mother of mine, present them to my Lord. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum benedicta tu. As I kneel before you, and I see your smiling face, every thought, every word is lost in your embrace. Ave Maria, gratia plena, Dominus tecum benedicta tu. That's lovely. Lovely to bring down our Blessed Mother or the Sacred Heart if I'm singing that one, but they're lovely little hymns, aren't they? They sort of nourish the soul, don't they? Now, let's talk families. We all came from families. We were conceived in the image and likeness of God, and fortunate to be Catholics and be baptized. I was baptized 4 days after I was born and christened John Augustine, and my surname Malone. My father was a Garda policeman, and my mother was from Limerick. He was from Howth, County Dublin. Yes, sorry. And when they were going for the Garda, he went in 1928. And my aunt, she was in Cumminaman. She became a nun. Sister Ailish, my Aunt Lizzie. She didn't like the Lizzie. But she had the Gaelic. And she taught my father and my uncle Edward. He'd become a Garda as well. And taught him the Irish so that they could pass the exams, which they did. And so it was 1928, only 5 years after our freedom. There was a civil war, so times were dangerous. And he had some tough spots. He was transferred down the country to a place called Lizzie Casey in County Clare. There was trouble down that country. A guard was killed. He opened a parcel that was addressed to another guard, a friend, and there was a bomb in it, and he was killed. And his widow had a hard job getting the widow's pension, but she got it. So it was tough times, as you can see. That was in Lizzie Casey. There was Gardaí station there. Now there wouldn't probably be anybody there. Only a headquarters in Ennis, and probably here and there an odd one putting a snout into the, which is not good. Security is important, but anyways, families we're talking about. So I was brought up in the family, and so you spend time with your father and mother, and it was a tough time because I was born in 1938. And next thing, before you could say Jack Robinson, there was a war with this old Hitler, this mass mother, and Stalin no better. So that was the thing. So family life was difficult because it would have been a scarcity. Lucky enough, must have got something because here we are. And then, of course, then Britain was in war, and then the old church was giving out about us, and about 300,000 or 400,000 or more Irish men killed in that Second World War. What sort of a clown was this Churchill individual? A bit of a thick lump of lard, as far as I'm concerned. He's no right to insult this country. And we get him some help during the war, but we were neutral. And yet there was bombs, Germans popped bombs in the North Strand. 22 people was killed. And so it was very peculiar times. And we just got our ports back in 1938 before the war by Chamberlain. He was a thing. So we had 4 ports that were still in their control, and we got them back. Without a buyer leave, and they claimed credit for it, but he had nothing to do with it. They were given back, and lucky enough, because we would have been a soft target for the Germans. They were absolutely savage. Wouldn't trust them now with a 40-foot pole, whatever. It were families we're talking about. But we did go to mass and all the rest of it, and every Sunday and maybe every other day, and confessions. Churches were spiked, and plenty of priests and parish priests and 2 or 3 curates in most towns. Where we were, Boyd, Common, and wherever else we were, there was plenty of priests and plenty of vocations. Some of them went to the missions. But that all changed, and families were nearly 100% of Catholics were practicing Catholic faith. To say 98.5%, but anyway, but when they made the changes in Vatican II and did away with the altar rails and this, that, and the other, families didn't stop going to mass. And now, what way are families? They're not practicing the Catholic faith, which is the way, the truth, and the life to save their immortal souls. And even when their children make their first Holy Communion and confirmation, they're obliged to be there and be prepared and all the rest of it, and signing a book to to make sure that the people are there. And the priest said, our local priest said, if they're not signing it, then they can wait for another year. So, but they were, and churches were fairly packed with parents and children. And he did that for 6 months nearly before they were going to be making their first Holy Communion confirmation. And you think they keep going. They did for a week or two, and after that, very few of them. So what kind of families are they? They're not living the way, the truth, and the life of the Catholic faith. And if you neglect God, if you do that, going to Mass was considered a mortal sin. Now, the priests are not preaching that. Now, in some churches, they are preaching that, the way, the truth, and the life, and that's the thing. But if it's not being preached, and there should be more efforts by the bishops to speak about these matters, because families now, their children are in danger of not practicing the Catholic faith. And some churches are closed because of the lack of attendance. And the collections that are done in Dublin, there's often two share for parishes where there's so few going that has to help to keep them open. And some of them are closed, and one I think in Finglas closed. It used to be packed because a lot of people there. So that's a very poor outlook for those families. Their immortal souls is in grave danger of eternal damnation. You turn your back on God, well, and it's an obligation to go to Mass at least once every Sunday and holiday obligation. So families are at risk. Fortunately, when I was growing up, it was a different kettle of fish. Churches was packed, and there was 3 or 4 masses every Sunday, and packed. And children, we went to Mass at 10 o'clock up towards the front. And the priest used to sort of, the ones that were sitting at the back, he used to haul them up and let them have it. There was none of this, he was up in the pulpit. So churches was packed, and the faith was good, and confession. So this is families, and so they're not going the same way as they're going. Churches is not packed. Now we get a good crowd here in Oldcastle, thanks be to God. We have a lovely priest, Father Mark, and but you could do an altar service. And adults can be altar service that are practicing Catholics. And I think the priests, by and large, should be facing the tabernacle, not turning their back on it. If that come in after Vatican II, the Protestant influence or something. Well, you see, they don't have a tabernacle, and they don't have the status of the cross. So what the Catholics do, and these should be emphasised, I believe, and families are losing out. Fortunately, my generation, and even probably younger than me, were brought up in that way, because that went on up to the 1960s, which was 28, 38, sorry, no, 38, 48, 58, yeah. So I was in my 20s when, before these changes come in, and churches in Dublin was packed too, Rathmines and Rathgar and Terranure, and every church was packed. But after Vatican II, with those changes, they were a disaster. But families are losing out. And I want to be emphasising on John Malone and John Augustine Malone and the Christian TV Ireland project, and hopefully get established with donations. And we need them. And need them serious, so as it gets started to stand up for these things and nourish the souls of the people that are sometimes neglected. Confessions is not as widespread as they were in my time. And as I say, into the 60s. And then they took out the altar rails and all the rest of it. Look, we have altar rails here in Oldcastle, but you go to many churches, no sign of altar rails. And where I was baptised in St Andrew's Church in Westland Row, that was a lovely church, big church. But the altar rails has gone over there. It's a disgrace, to my way of thinking. Put them back. The people paid for them, and these bishops should never took them out. Whatever sort of carry on was going on, there was a very bad influence around. Put them back. People kneel at the altar rail. So families and their children are losing out, because the Catholic faith is the way, the truth, and the life, and it's a great gift. When you make your first Holy Communion and confirmation, you have an obligation to attend Mass every Sunday and every holiday have obligation, if not more often, and go to confession. And if you can't get it locally, by request apparently, and that's no way to do it. The priest should be in the confession box after every Holy Mass, to my way of thinking, and on a Saturday for an hour or two in the morning and in the late afternoon. Isn't that right? Well, this is what the Christian TV Ireland will be standing for and preaching. So there you are. We're just talking about family. So it's food for thought, isn't it? And we leave it at that and then finish with our Blessed Mother evening prayer. Bye now.